I used to buy chicken at the store, shrink-wrapped, anonymous, and completely disconnected from my food source. But something changed. I wanted to know where my food came from. I wanted to raise it myself. Once I learned about CAFOs, caged animal farm operations, I knew I couldn't eat grocery store meat. I wanted to make sure my chickens were raised in a way that honors the animals and gives them the best life possible. And after experiencing how quickly the supply chain can be disrupted, like in 2020, I felt called to do something in my power to protect my family and supply them with a sustainable source of meat right from our backyard. Chickens are one of those gateway animals that deepens that rabbit hole into the world of homesteading and self-sufficiency. Today we're harvesting a sustainable home-raised meat source that was hatched right here, fed with what we grow, and never touched store-bought feed or hatchery boxes. It's the hardest part of this lifestyle, but also the most meaningful. We started this journey out of a desire to become more self-sufficient. These birds were hatched in our incubator, raised in our yard, fed scraps, grains, foraged greens, no starter feed, no shipments from Tractor Supply, just a commitment to raising what we eat as responsibly and humanely as we can. Processing your own animals isn't easy, especially for the first time. It took me years to be okay with it emotionally. But now, I see it as part of the cycle. We give them a good life, space to roam, sun on their backs, real food, and in return, they nourish our family. Today is the worst day of their life, but up until this point, they were loved and cared for daily. And that's more than I can say for most grocery store meat. It's hard to believe the transformation I've had personally with the way I think about meat. For a few years prior to 2020, I actually followed a plant-based diet after believing a lot of marketing gimmicks and other social issues that I thought at the time I was on the right side of. As I gained more knowledge, I realized I was wrong. And as I've gotten older, I've learned that many topics are not so black and white as they might appear. There is nuance to everything. And not only did my body not feel great after avoiding meat for so many years, but I realized that many of the vegan plant-based options for burgers or meat alternatives are filled with seed oils and other inflammatory preservatives I wanted to avoid. Not only that, I look back on who I was at that time and how I thought I was better than others who ate meat. How toxic my thinking was at the time, I'm embarrassed by today. But if I hadn't experienced that myself, I wouldn't be able to see that same toxic behavior in so many others today. Not just regarding meat, but the same for almost every social issue, climate issue, political issue, etc. It's all so toxic. And today I want no part of that discourse. I just want to garden and raise my animals in peace. After experiencing the chaos of 2020, I realized I would never be able to be truly self-sufficient on a plant-based diet. I wouldn't be able to grow acres of soy or wheat because I didn't have the space to do it. I did, however, have the space to grow a handful of chickens. That first 6 chickens I remember like it was yesterday, driving them home from that hatchery. Eggs were the first thing I wanted to help my family be more self-sufficient. It wasn't another 2 years later, when those first chickens were declining in egg production, that I realized they needed to become a meat source for my family. My neighbor helped walk me through the process of butchering that chicken. Ever since then, I realized a few things. I didn't want to be dependent on the feed store to feed the chickens. I didn't want to be dependent on a hatchery for my chicks. So I've been hatching our own chicks at home, except recently for an order of Cornish cross meat birds that we had shipped for the first time. But I want to have a sustainable meat source for my family. And moving forward, I believe they will be the Delaware broilers that are a heritage breed that grows more slowly than the Cornish cross, but we will be able to successfully incubate at home. If you're new to chicken processing, here are a few tips. I like to have my station ready, table clean. Make sure your knives that you're using are very sharp. A dull knife will lead to you cutting yourself, so a sharp knife is very important to have. Try to take your time, be calm and efficient. I do my best to enjoy the process. It's a dirty job, but I actually feel somehow better after it's all done when I am putting that meat in our freezer. It just is a really good feeling that is hard to explain until you've done it. It's a really good feeling to put food in your freezer for your family that you grew yourself on your own land.
Why do you need the hot water for?
The hot water is to loosen up all their feathers so that they come off real easy when you're plucking. Yeah.
How'd you get the yellow?
On the feet?
No, like in there.
Oh, that's like fat.
Oh, ew.
That's what gives the chicken a good flavor. I put it in cold water after it came out to cool it down because it was in hot water. You don't really want to cook it when you're scalding it. You just want to heat it up a little bit.
Look at that.
Because there's an oil gland in there that makes all their feathers really shiny. But you want to cut that gland off. There's the crop. All its food that it eats is in here. If we cut it open, you could see. What was it eating? Oh, it's full of broccoli. That's gross. Look at that. You don't need acres to raise meat birds. We rotate ours on pasture using chicken tractors. They get fresh grass, bugs, sunshine, and they help us fertilize the soil too. We've fed them garden scraps, rice and beans, sometimes even fish, and you'd be amazed at how little space you need to do this. One of the most rewarding parts is that these birds were hatched here too. These birds that we hatched today did not come from a noisy shipment. Now that I've grown more confident in incubating eggs, I don't think that we will ever go back to buying chicks from the store. We honor our birds with the way that we raise them and the way we say goodbye. It's not easy, but there's something empowering about knowing your food from start to finish. I don't rely on the grocery store anymore. At least our goal is to not rely on the store as much as we have in the past, and to become more resilient from what we can produce in our small backyard. I raise my food and my kids get to see where it comes from. If you've ever wondered if you could do this, you can. And I hope this video helps you get one step closer. We share more of our journey here on the channel, from chicken gardens to homemade feed to building self-sufficiency, one step at a time. If you're looking to raise your own food, don't miss my upcoming book, The Self-Sufficient Chicken, which you can join the waitlist for by signing up for our email newsletter, or check out the chicken garden playlist linked below so you can see more of our videos that we've put out in the past. Thank you all for watching, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on raising meat birds or taking the next step on your homestead. Let me know down in the comments what you're working on at home. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.